Alright lads, and welcome back to yet another cigar review from the Stogie lads. Today I have a cigar I've been dying to try from a brand I've been dying to try. This is the Illusione Epernay Matin. So this is a 46 ring gauge by 6.5 inch cigar. It's a short Churchill or a long Corona Gorda, which way you want to go. It's kind of right in between both. It kind of looks like a Churchill in the hand. It's a box pressed cigar. And this might not sound that special to the Americans out there. Illusione is a brand that's readily available in the US, but it's one of those boutique cigar brands that's not available in Sweden whatsoever. Luckily though, I had a good friend who traveled to Miami very recently and was able to bring back a bunch of cigars of brands that are not available here in Sweden that I've been dying to try. So you can expect some more reviews, but I wanted to start off with this. Illusione have been around since I believe 2009, somewhere in the mid 2000s, like early 2000s. It's made kind of waves and become very, very popular. And this Epernay series has been around, in and around the Cigar Aficionado Top 25 a bunch of times. So this Le Matin is the only box pressed one out of the series. Very majestic, and I love the Vitola. What's special about this though is, first and foremost, Illusione is a brand that makes lighter cigars than the trend. You know, the US market trend, we talk about this a lot on our podcast and things of that nature. The US market trend is for heavier, larger, just more full-bodied, stronger sticks. Illusione are gone the other way. And the Epernay series especially just is a hallmark, you know, example of the sort of direction Illusione decide to go. This is a lighter cigar for sure, but it's even more sort of significant in the sense that it doesn't have any ligero tobacco. And for those of you guys that don't know what that is, the ligero is the top leaves of the tobacco plant. Some claim them to be the most flavorful. Since they're at the top, they get the most sun. But hand in hand with that flavor, they're also by far the strongest. So you get really, really strong tobacco in terms of nicotine and body, just heavy, strong tobacco, but also very flavorful. So what Illusione wanted to do with the Epernay series is sort of show that you can get really flavorful and tasty tobacco without the ligero and without that strength. Epernay is an area within the Champagne region of France. Obviously that's where you make the champagne. And these cigars are supposed to sort of match that effervescent, light, just clean, fresh taste of champagne and match that in a cigar. I really like that. I really like Illusione's, you know, brand style as well. Just a very understated, simple band, white and gold, very thin, just says Illusione Epernay, nothing else. Perfect draw. And right off the bat, light, fruity, nice, very good flavor. It's a little bit bready. Very, very nice so far. I've been dying to try this cigar. I'm gonna have a few puffs of this and I'll get back to you guys in the first third. But the first puff was very delicious. We'll see how this develops. All right, so about 10 minutes in here, and I'm loving this cigar. This is very much in my wheelhouse. It is very light, and this is interesting. It's quite interesting because there's, like advertised, or as the sort of intention is behind the cigar, there is a lot of flavor. It's not bland, but it's very light. I don't think I can remember having a cigar that is as light in terms of strength. There's no strength at all, and it is light to medium bodied. The smoke is just very airy, not in a bad way, but it's not that dense, chewy smoke. I mean, you know when you're smoking like a Padron, that heavy Nicaraguan smoke, I mean, it just feels like it's filling your mouth and almost like you can chew on it. This is the opposite way. Even though there is a lot of smoke output, it's burning perfectly. It's very elegant. I think, you know, the whole thing is a perfect package where the band is so light, elegant, understated, the Vitola, and the smoke just matches that perfectly. It's a little bit fruity, like a tiny bit of cherry, especially on the retrohale, which I may add is extremely light. I can retrohale probably the whole puff. I haven't tried that, but I've, you know, when I'm retrohaling, it's extremely light. There's no burn at all on the retrohale, but on the finish on the palate, there's definitely some spice, a little bit of pepper, which is nice. It adds to the complexity. It's not burning, but it's just a tingling bit of spice. There's a bit of a breadiness as well, just light toast, not anything like very complex or heavy with in terms of the bready cereal note. and there is an underlying sweetness, especially in the beginning of this first third. But it's there on the finish. It's a little bit of like a cherry-like fruity flavor. Breadiness, sweetness, very good. This is perfectly in my wheelhouse, sort of light to medium. This is very much reminding me of, in style, how many Cuban cigars are like the Oyo de Monterreys and H. Upmans. When a lot of people ask about, you know, Cuban likenesses in the non-Cuban market, there aren't really any, but a cigar like this is much more close to what you would find than something else, because it's just, the lightness is very similar to some of those lighter Cuban cigars. It is very interesting to have a cigar with no ligero in it like this. I really, really love it. It's like early afternoon, it's right after lunchtime, and this cigar is perfect like this. Champagne would go astonishingly, I can imagine. It should, as it's called Epernay, but a coffee as well would just probably be splendid. First third so far, very, very good. I thought it was burning quickly in the beginning, but I don't think so now. I mean, 10, 15 minutes in, there's kind of a lot to go. Love it so far though. We'll see how this progresses. Half an hour in, still delivering wonderful flavor. The fruitiness is completely gone. The breadiness, gone. It turned into like more and more toasted bread until it disappeared. Wood came in. Now though, it's kind of gone. This has been extremely complex, I should say. A wood came in, which I'm not really tasting anymore. Still very much an underlying sweetness that's been there throughout. Very, very delicious. The sweetness also extends to when I lick my lips a little bit, like coming off the wrapper. There's a sweetness that it's almost like a sweetened cap, but it's so extremely minute. Obviously, it's not a sweetened cap. Just something that I haven't really experienced before in a cigar, where that cap is giving me like a sweetness on my lips. There are sweet spices now, and that kind of reminds me of some of the spices we found in the acid blondies. Obviously, those were extreme, you know, intense notes from the artificial infusion. This is not artificially infused, but there are some sweet spices in this that's really delicious right now. And there's a little hint of an earth, but that earth is very, very minute and more of the mineralness, like a minerally earth, but the minerals are much more in focus than the earth itself. So, gone from a lot of flavors. It's still very delicious. It's still very light to medium solidly now. It was light the first third, turned into light to medium, light to medium. I could imagine this coming all the way up to medium. Perhaps the spice is almost gone as well. It's tiny in the back of the throat, but this is very, very, very nice. For me, what this feels like, this is like a garden party where you're being served champagne and that kind of stuff. This is perfect, like an elegant cigar, a long, nice smoke. It's so suave and perfect lightness, but clear, nice flavors as well. Just loving this. So we'll see. I mean, it's burning fast when I take a puff, but then it keeps burning for so long. And then take another puff, massive flavor, massive smoke. So it's burning very well. The ash is super flaky, which is interesting, but it's holding up very, very well. I'll get back to you guys in the final third, give my final thoughts, but so far, just spectacular for me. All right, so about an hour and 10 into it, more or less. Now it's certainly medium. A lot of those lighter notes are disappearing. I'm getting more coffee, a bit more earth, not really minerally. I think, yeah, it's certainly like sort of coffee and earth that is dominating this cigar now. A lot more heavy, thicker smoke, creamier smoke, not that, you know, airy smoke that it was in the beginning. Just a lot of shifts. The flavor's been very, very good so far. This is just a fantastic cigar. I think something that intrigued me a lot was just the construction as well. Like I mentioned, how the ash was very flaky. Every time I puffed, it burned very quickly. Like you could just see how sometimes when you puff a cigar, it just burns slowly afterwards. When I puffed this, it was sort of like you see people puffing a cigarette, and like it's literally burning as you're puffing it. I think it's maybe perhaps a little bit lightly packed, and that might be why the ash is a bit flaky. I mean, it's not burning hot even now, as I'm like way into the final third. The draw wasn't very loose. It was classic, you know, non-Cuban, a little bit looser than Cuban cigars, but it didn't feel like it was like underfilled or anything. I know ligero is thick and oily and heavy tobacco that burns slow. Perhaps the absence of that ligero makes it burn this way. 1 hour and 10 is pretty solid. I mean, I'll probably have 5-10 minutes left of this, so not bad for the size. Just sort of interesting in terms of the construction. But like I said, the flavor was fantastic. This is perfectly in my wheelhouse. A lot of people, especially people that are used to that more traditional US market style flavor profile, this won't be for you. I know that Illusione's tagline is sort of, we're not industry standard. I think this cigar definitely speaks to that. It's very Cubanesque in the lightness. That's what I'll say about it. I really love this, especially earlier in the day. I wouldn't have like a summer heavy barbecue with a bunch of red wine and pour up a heavier whiskey and have this as an evening cigar, but like this, and this is a perfect aperitif cigar, I'd say. This is sort of like a nicer, lighter Davidoff or a Cuban Cuadrosé or Oil de Monterrey. It's just very good in that lighter sort of family of cigars. I love it. To give this a score, 93. Complexity, clean notes, yeah, just fantastic all throughout, and I loved it. I'm sure some people will rate this lower because it doesn't just fit for them that much, but I really love this. So complex, so flavorful, even though it's very light. Just brilliant cigar, and I absolutely love this Illusione. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.